Hello, Seven Guys and Gals. What with the Doom the Dark Ages review having been shadow dropped a few days prior, it's now high time to round out the remainder of the water hazard maps in my Odd Architecture series with D1_canals_12. The map that I mentioned in the last video will come to factor here as well, as this comprises it and the next map, and see how it measures up to it, along with everything else this map has to offer to me. With that out of the way, let's get to it. Alright, and now we are in game, and as I mentioned, I have the map of the section of the canals, as it will be a matter of importance for this map, the last map, and the next map, to see how consistent it is with what we actually see in game. And I'll show it where pertinent. So, starting, we have this long, bank we go through here, and I don't know why, but for some reason this map in particular, just completely bugs out. It shows the cube map for the skybox, whereas the other maps didn't do that. I don't know why this map in particular is having that issue, but anyway, the first thing to point out is we have these weird board things, which we haven't seen since that long section of canal with water in D1_canals01A. So it's just interesting that they're just kind of placed here, although their placement, of course, is a little bit nonsensical in comparison to what they supposedly service was adding supports to the walls in this case. And then just before we hit this basement here, above us we have this silo trough and this silo outporting. Now, obviously this is not well detailed because, of course, you're not meant to see it, but this is supposedly supposed to pour out something that goes from this trough to this one. But with this being upraised means that it wouldn't be able to pour into the next trough this way, so it just doesn't work in that regard. And then as we turn the bank here, we have this little section with the carrier, and to the left of us we have another series of troughs. And the only thing to point out about this one is this trough has a portion of catwalk to it, but the other side doesn't. Oh, well, I guess it does, but for some reason, I don't know why. Why is there only one side of catwalk? I feel like there would be two sets of catwalks to complement the trough this way. And then going back a little ways, we have these series of tankers with what I'm going to call a shuttle above it. But this series of tankers and this shuttle above it would not match the geography of this tanker on the other side of it. And obviously you can see that it has to literally go out of existence for that to make any amount of sense with what we are supposed to be, what we are supposed to assume is the geography of this industrial section. Alright, something that I forgot in the midst of me talking about the architecture of this game was there was one more note that I kind of overlooked while going through. Now, there's this section of the warehouse where you have these set of doors, but with the concrete set up in this way, the doors would basically lead to just immediate drop down. So just somebody would open them and then just fall to their death. So I just thought that was just an amusing oversight of this particular warehouse model. And then moving on, we have another bank over here, and is where we come across a G-Man sighting. Although, in regards to the architecture around this area, we have this weird catwalk set up here, and I don't know what would be the purpose of this being here. I don't know what this would service, other than I guess, hey, you can get a nice view of what you're doing outside, I guess. And obviously there's a door here for him to walk in, but before we come across him, we have the same catwalk assortment, but obviously there's no door here, so there's not even a possible way for anyone to get inside of here. And more to the point, we have these weird, I don't know what you call these, catwalk bridges or whatever, but if these are the catwalk bridges to allow workers to get from one side of a facility to the other, then what's the point of these catwalks? And obviously these bridges wouldn't coincide because, they're literally running into a series of tankers and one of these shuttles as well. You can see just how much they're just colliding into one another. And I'm pretty sure you can see it from, yeah, you can even see it just from within the in-game bounds too. Just the nature of that. And then moving on, we have this side passage over here, and this side passage is not present in the in-game map of this section of the canal line. And I've added a bunch of details. I've even added a little legend of my own to kind of like notate that. And notate some other things along the way that we'll be able to discuss later. But yeah, this is not really notated in the in-game map. And this side passage is obviously supposed to be a rebel hideout that was kind of just flushed out by some CP officers and some zombies. And, you know, some of these structures make some amount of sense, but some less so. Like, obviously, a truck is just here, and then we have this, like, windmill just perched way above in this regard. And then another thing that is very peculiar to me, and it's another case of odd architecture in relation to item placement, is... So you have this small upraised section for the, like, silo troughs, right? If you somehow, like, for whatever reason, decided to stack a bunch of boxes to get up to here, you will find that there is actually a set of goodies that you can grab. So, some cheeky developer seriously thought that somebody would be bold enough to go up here. Because this is put in, like, based on the game. So they put that there, and I don't know why, but I guess, you know, if you're running short on a revolver ammo, I guess there's if you're diligent enough, you can climb up and get to it. And then we go over to this embankment here. We have a few more twists and turns through these tunnels, and we go through the next section. Something to know over here on this side, we have a series of fences and rails that just literally collide into each other and just seem to have no rhyme or reason as to their placements. And, you know, you can even see the fences collide into each other as well, with the barbed wire pointing inward as opposed to outward. And it seems like this is a very consistent problem with their fences. I don't know why they just didn't have them point outward. Like, it usually makes more sense for them to be pointing outward than inward in this regard. Anyhow, we move over here, and we have another section of a combine lighting the surface of the water with fire. And unlike, I think it was also, no, it was, I can't remember the map name. I think it might have been D1_Canals 07. There was a section where there was a truck, or a tanker truck, and the CP officers lit the surface of the water on fire as well. And the explanation for that, or at least my best guess, was that area had oil, and oil is usually insoluble in water, so that's why it was lit on fire. But here, there's no, like, visual cue for that. So how is this water, like, how is this being lit on fire is beyond me, unless these barrels are filled with oil. But obviously they're not, because why do they explode on ignition? Like, they're probably just filled with, you know, fuses. Or, you know, fumes, not fuses. So, yeah. Like, there's not even an in-universe, like, explanation for it to kind of give it away. And then you go up here, and obviously you have the, basically, Donkey Kong section, where you have to dodge, like, barrels just coming in through these juts over here. I don't know, like, how they're coming in through. Maybe some facility is just making barrels that explode. But yeah, we have a bridge over here that's overlooking the whole thing, and obviously from the top side you can see that whatever road is supposed to comprise this bridge would be colliding into these facility pipes and whatnot, and then this portion of the tanker as well. And then I'm not sure why this portion of, like, whatever it is, like this portion of the canal would have this, like, smaller upraised lip. Like, whether or not this is supposed to have more water to it, I feel like it would have, like, it wouldn't really make sense to have a lip up on this regard. And then obviously when you get to this side, you have more of these boards, and there's just one slapped here just for the sake of aesthetic, I guess, because I don't know what else it would be doing. And then we move on. We have a few more tunnel bankments that we have to get through. And immediately to your left, you'll see another series of giant dam doors. Now, what is notable about this dam door is that in the in-game map is a straight dead end. This is supposed to be a lock-in or presumably some kind of path for water to flow in or for boats to come in through on a channel, but the map does not show this. So there's a presumed path, but it's obviously not indicated by the map in any way, which is going to be more interesting as we go through the remainder section of this map. Now up above we have another road that is yet again going to collide with certain things, mainly the smokestack that we've seen from the prior two maps, I should say, not prior map. And it's going to collide with some other things, as we'll get to. And then we round the corner over here, and we come across this wide, and I say wide in being a little generous in calling it wide, dock area, where you face off the two APCs. Now, for some reason, they don't show up here if I don't come in with the airboat, but they, believe me, they are supposed to be here, and you fight, you know, two of them, or you can try to cheese one by kind of like shooting them down below here on this boat. But regardless, we're not talking about gameplay. Now, noting my complaints about the height clearance for a lot of these giant-ass boats to get through on some of these canal locks, there's also a consideration for width clearance or steering clearance, because boats, as you know, are very bad at steering. So if a boat were to, you know, dock over here, they would have a really hard time trying to pivot around out of this like channel in this way, whether this had a bunch of water in it or not. It would be very hard. And then over here we have this area that's fenced off and barricaded, and it's like a spill, as I call it. And this spill would again be colliding with the smokestack as well as the road that is supposed to be slightly above it. So like what? Is it supposed to be like a tiny clown car that's supposed to go through on this small like this small area between the roads that way? Probably not. It's just, again, just not something they really had presence of mind for, because obviously you're not going to be able to get there through natural means anyway. And then obviously we have this section where you have to go underneath the dock and jump this gap. But I don't know how these boards got set up in such a way to be a ramp in this regard. Like, because obviously these are the same boards that are supposed to go up against walls, but they're on the ground, and they're just far away from any conceivable wall. And then, of course, since I can't stop invoking Freeman's Mind 2, but you have these supports here that, honestly, you should be able to just shoot down, like shoot off, and this can still go down and still be used as a ramp to get up to this pipe area.
Or am I? Time to solve this the way I seem to solve everything. Oh! Oh!
And then moving on, before we move on to that section, we have the container that you have to shoot these barrels to open a way through the container door. Now, I don't know why this container has barrels here, because none of the other containers seem to have that feature about them, but, you know, who knows? Again, probably just for the sake of gameplay and nothing more. And then moving through here, we have another channel with a few more dock or dam doors. Now, in the in-game map, these are conveyed, but given that these two sections are basically leading to a dead end, I don't know what would be the importance of these dam doors in the first place if they just lead to a dead end. Like, I don't know what they would service. And then, just before the level transition, we go into this small little cubby before we head out and fight against the Hunter Chopper for the last time. Now, what is notable about this is that this is not at all conveyed by the map. According to the map, you go through a few more bends in like a tunnel, but in the actual game, it's just a single straight shot down path, as you can tell by how I depicted it on the map, as best as I could possibly convey it. And that's how it looks in-game compared to what is supposedly assumed by the map. So there's a lot of notable inaccuracies with the in-game map. And with that, that is it for D1_canals_12. And that was that for that map. Again, tune in next week where we have our final showdown with the Hunter Chopper and the final map comprising the Water Hazard chapter as a whole.